This is still February 28th, 2026. Even by the 1st of 2019, the investigators would walk into Walmart and they would yell out across Walmart. It's ridiculous for any child to be afraid of Karen. She's nothing but good in love. I know. Come on. And they would say really nice stuff. Just like I said, in April, May of 24, I was in Myers, North Maine. And a lady came in and said I talked to the police that work her case. Said it's ridiculous for anyone to ever insult her. She almost died to save everyone. They always knew she was drugged and told to say it before, and they photoshopped washing in the shower in the other room. And it's ridiculous for anybody to ever insult her. See, that's where, in this last year, they said, we're going to destroy her. We'll get that case against the cartel thrown out. See, that's why no attorney, no police, no prosecutor, no judge can touch an FBI informant. You're in government immunity because the integrity of the case has to stay intact. They don't tell people not to believe and not to help the informant. Like they said, who started that one? If they didn't feel comfortable saying something about the case, we don't talk about ongoing cases. We're trying to get the people that are doing this to her. Who started it? The drug cartel. The drug cartel. That's how stupid all this is. Like I said, I don't know what drugs they were on when they came up with this scam, but they don't know one law. They don't know the right to privacy. They don't know people don't drug people for compassions. They don't know HIPAA and the laws over doctors and your medical records. They don't know anything. These are nothing but a bunch of crackheads. Where Officer Mark said, it's documented and verified she was framed before. And that it was a drug cartel in her home before we seen them. Where the North Canton Jackson police, and on April 28th, 24, Karen, we all know nobody drugs anybody but the drug cartel, and it was a drug cartel in your home before. So where they run around bad-mouthing me, they're just trying to get the case thrown out. See, that's where the police that worked my case and the agents that actually worked my case, you can't insult me in front of them. I almost died to save my family. Help the government get thousands. Well, they went after me, and they showed up and they would mock me. They went after them. And here I'm getting tortured, raped, human trafficked, skull bashed in, beat till they almost ruptured my intestines, induced vomiting till I lost 70 pounds. I lived through complete hell. You know, my friend Walter used to work at the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. He said, Karen, you don't realize you have great favor with a lot of officers for working that FBI case. They think very highly of you. And do you know how stupid people look? Oh, the police don't want around children no more. That's the drug cartel lying, trying to pull their scam. Dave's, my ex-husband's ex-girlfriend, and her drug dealer father ran a scam on me, and they're both such crackheads. They're the ones in debt to drug dealers. That they're running a drug scam thinking the FBI would actually hand them money. That's how stupid they are. They are so Twilight Zone stupid. I don't know what drug they use to fry their brain. to come up with this crazy stunt that, like they said, nobody would fall for it. Nobody would fall for it. I've talked to sheriffs and stuff. Nobody would fall for this in law enforcement. You know what? And like an investigator said, you put common sense to any of this, no one can do it. I mean, I can quote law after law after law that stops everything and puts them in jail the rest of their life. Oh, Melissa has an attorney. Melissa don't have an attorney. Nobody got hurt. They were mean jokes made up in front of the FBI and police. She can go to jail, though, for interfering in an FBI case, an obstruction of justice. And aiding and abetting crimes. And a whole list of them. Oh, that church has an attorney. They don't have an attorney. They tell them to shut the fuck up. My God, you did what? Shut up. You are part of what? Attempted murder, human trafficking, illegal monitoring, drug confession. You photoshopped a shower scene. You had drug confessions. Drugged her and told her to say stuff. My God, you did what? I want you to think about it. You had her skull crushed in. You had her tortured. You did what? See, it'd be a plea deal. See, this where it's just the drug cartel. Where December 23, January 24, on a Sunday night, I am out in Alliance, and the guys that work the case are out there off in the dark. When the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up, they were drug beating, raping her. And she wasn't realizing what was happening. Neither did my doctor. I talked to a nurse, and she said, you know, we all know rapists do this. They prey on people, and they run scams on them. And she said, we try not to jump there. We want to think it's a dirty well water. Has some kind of bacteria in it. We want to think it's an autoimmune or a virus. But we all know rapists do that. But we want to rule out every other thing before that. I thought, the world's changed. You need a jump, and then you can dial it back. Have people check and make sure that person's okay, and it's not somebody doing it to them. See what I mean? Somebody shows up with massive bruises all over them, swollen personal infection, they're sick and throwing up, and they don't thinking it's a well water doing it to them. They should have been calling somebody. See what I mean? Because you don't remember with those drugs. And that's where, and then HIPAA violations. And see, that's where they're a dirty doctor scam. No doctor could be with them. It's ridiculous. It's HIPAA. They're a scam of an attorney going to a hospital. Attorney fishing for medical information is 5 years. Disbarred immediately. Hospital can't talk to them without signed consent, picture ID for both. And they can only approach a hospital or a doctor when you're their client for a personal injury, like a dog bite or car wreck. And they can only get it for the dog bite or car wreck. Only. It's HIPAA. It's a federal law. No doctor of theirs can talk without the signed consent, picture ID, and they verbally hear you say they can release it with those signed consent, picture IDs on both sides, and for only the dog bite or the car wreck or personal injury. They can't tape you unaware because it's HIPAA. See, these people don't know the law. It's just another drug dealer lying. Just like there's no real attorney with them. Where they said when the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up there, they were drug beating, raping her, and she didn't realize it. They said it was some judge up there, messed up in the drug cartel. They wanted his connections, told us all to stay out of it. I don't know, it's just some guy saying he's a judge. Just some guy. Where Danny asked Dave, April 16, 23, across the parking lot, where I've been going over asking Danny if he knew any of this. walked up to, him and Jen walked up to Gabe and Shay and said, I finally went to Dad. Ask him what on earth is going on. He said he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was Pete and his men in our home. Pete has a frame. Pete has a tape, the filthy, dirty statement. I've never met him. It's just some guy, some drug dealer. Now, it's either that Henry Maffei, and they said the second guy he hired was that old man that showed up the first month of the case. For every idle word you tell on us, I'll turn it on you. Try to leave Dave, I'll list you a child molester. And I'm like, who are you? You know that bruise on your leg? I use sodium pentothal on you. No, he stabbed me with a hypnotic drug and told me to say crazy crap. And said, you were wearing this one nightgown, you bent over improperly, they accidentally seen your butt, you had a life of pain. That'd be a moment of embarrassment. And then threatened me again. I got away from that freak, went home to a legally bugged house. Dave verified I was dressed modestly, didn't own that nightgown back then, and they only made fun of the back of my knees. He changed the whole thing. See what I mean? But what did he meant to? He was working for Dave, drugging me up and telling me to say lies. Then other people, we had bruises before, throwing up and infected. It wasn't the well water, it was us. We were drug beat and raping you. We were drugging you and telling you to say this. We were drugging you and telling you to say that. We photoshopped all our lies. What else they say in 18? The doctor they were using worked for the Florida drug cartel. And he's some kind of weirdo. They said that the doctor was having them relocate people to Florida and keeping them in rooms running experiments on them. He told us to height, weight, habits. If they have any bad habits, I thought you were going to use them as a sex slave or to be killed. Why on earth would you care? Then I figured out later on. One thing that stops with bad habits is organs. Makes your organs impliable. Black market. Well, in January 19, I was in Belden Village. Some of those guys came up, the doctors outside the food court. He'd like to meet you in person. He'd actually like to meet you in person. Oh, hell no. I'm not meeting that bastard. I found somebody to talk to, got out through Macy's. I'm not getting stuck in a little room and somebody run experiments. I mean, I'm not stupid. They talked about him from Belden to Maslin. About this crazed doctor. And they were using the one for the Florida drug cartel. The originals already confessed in 18 and 19. Where that pretty Michelle with the long blonde hair told an agent March 27, 25. He was outside my work about 1 o'clock talking that he broke up with Michelle. And that she confessed that the dirty doctor wasn't one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. And she doesn't know who he is. And when they bashed him in the head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent. It didn't work. He had got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me made him marry me so that he could get a job at my dad's factory. She'd have free insurance to use. And the other lady using my insurance was a girlfriend of Dave's. My whole marriage was a scam. I had chest pains for days. And he could give her extra money. And the family that was saying it offended him, where that minister called her a faker, ask him, why on earth would you say that? It was 6 months later when he made that up. And she had nothing to do with that traffic accident. And they said they lied. Of course they lied. That it didn't even concern them that that minister calling me a faker. Lisa's father killed her kid. She wasn't even there. They just lied so people would help out. I tell you, this is a case of the dumb people that are lying everywhere. Well, they said years ago, for everything's a lie, for everything's a scam. They told people that in 1819. What else did they tell people in 19 and 20? Where what was it, 2020, 21? For we all know this woman's innocent? We all know. You know, those drug dealers, we'll make sure she can never see her grandkids again. We'll make sure this. We'll make sure that. Trying to make their scam look real. framing somebody. Okay? And that came from Dave's girlfriend's dad's drug friends. I go up in Summit Mall. That's the one her ex-husband's girlfriend's dad and his drug friends ran a drug scam on. Don't want to say a word. Hmm? You know, people are so stupid. And then they try to say, oh, the cops were making fun of her for being raped. Cops don't make fun of victims for being raped. They can lose their badge. That's cartel. And the cartel was already told September 30th, 25 at 1 o'clock in the morning. No one wants to say a word to me again in my life. They found out that it was that family's drug debt to drug dealers. Well, I'll tell you what was it, April 14th, 24 or April 18th, 24? Within those days, I'm at Marshall's in North Canton. And one of those guys that would show up and harass me was in there. So I glared at him. I thought, I'm not in the mood for you. He's parked right next to my vehicle. He looks over at the lady. He looks over at me. She don't realize who I work for. I work for Will. And Will was setting all those drug dealers up to go to jail for this. And he started laughing. I went to Monument Park that day. People in the park said the guy that was doing all this to her, that none of this is funny. Even those drug dealers were helping out. He was setting them up to go to jail for this. One of his men confessed. Oh, I know. And so what has happened over the last year? The cartel reassured everybody this whole thing was a scam in detail and got it out of that guy's daughter. It was their drug debt to drug dealers. And they even human trafficked people. They were the ones inciting my new husband's family to go after him. And they did know it was medication errors, medical malpractice, and fraud that made me sick before. And they did know they encouraged Dave and I to sue those doctors for years. What else did they get out of Henry Maffei? On January 1926. That he was the one behind all this. Him and his daughter. And they're the ones trying to scam the government out of money. They've been playing both sides and everybody. Do you know they ran around telling people they were going to give them endless amount of money? Millions of extorted money from the government. If you say one thing, you help out, we'll give you extorted money. You can attempt extortion out of the government is 20 years. 20 years. And I'll tell you what, even Officer John, I found out, is a federal agent. Stark County Sheriff's March 25th, 25. I was in the Stark County Courthouse getting my marriage license. And some Stark County Sheriffs were talking. Some guy showed up and said she knows him as Officer John. He's not an officer. He's an agent. His name's not John. Well, they would say John's here to take care of Garrett. I'd look over and he'd say something really nice. I thought his name was John. Canton Police talked about the officer's work my case, so I thought he was an officer. No. Officer Mark, you can't insult me in front of him either. Or any of the agents or officers work my case. You know, those officers, you know, I wouldn't be alive if they wouldn't have showed up at stores and chased those drug dealers off where they try to grab me. I have faced 6 stalkers trying to grab me in Walmart. They either had to get them out of their face. A couple of them, they had a football tackle. Blocked the aisles. Other ones, they chased off or yelled at them. And They know how I feel, that I'm grateful and eternally grateful for that. Those church people hired horrible people. And Dave's girlfriend, his crackhead girlfriend, and her drug dealer dad in debt to drug dealers, coming up with this big con to pay all those people back they owed. And then we're playing both sides. They were playing everybody. And, that's one thing with being an FBI informant, being in immunity from the government. No officer, no prosecutor, no attorney, no judge can work a case against me, because the integrity of the case has to stand. You cannot, the informant that they use to get all these people, they cannot, where they said we're going to ruin her so the case against a cartel gets thrown out. Nobody can touch me. Where investigators had told them, Karen belongs to the U.S. government. No man touches her. She can't be prosecuted for anything. She belongs to the U.S. government. This is a federal case. I go up into Akron. We all know Karen's Will is still open. It's part of the nationwide human trafficking scam. They got all those human traffickers that showed up to help out with this big scam. They were probably some of the drug dealers you owed, coming to get their money. And that pathetic family even admitted they sold people to pay them back. They need executed for that one. And this whole thing is their family's debt to drug dealers. I got to go into work, but I'm telling you what. These people run around, oh, we're going to get her. And the cartels already told them, leave me alone. People were talking out lions. The cartel told them no one was to say a word to her again in her life. They found out that that family tricked them. What do you think the cartels are going to do to them? Well, they already got all their confessions for law enforcement, so they knew what they were doing. Since they tricked them, they told on them. And I knew those people were playing with hell. They were also talking out alliance about those two agents. It showed up the first day of the case. Look at all the people they hired to harm her. We could use her for bait. It's illegal to use a person as bait. What else? They laughed at me that they took my money. Oh, John made sure she didn't get no money out. It's illegal for him to not make sure I get any money out of it. I have a feeling if they look into it, it's those two agents that told Apostolic Church of Barberton. And the people said they were the two that were laughing and telling everybody they stole my money. And that none of this is funny. They were talking about alliance. Those agents were the ones laughing. They stole our money. They're stealing from the government. I like my money. It is illegal for an agent trying to silence a victim or informant. It is a federal crime. Plus, they already told on me before they spoke to me on the hotline. And on the hotline, they admitted, not the hotline, but the return phone call from the hotline was 4 days later. In the meantime, they went and told the churches that I called the FBI. Then admitted they had the church people in their office, and everybody knew. Made fun of me for that scam at Pete. I don't even know who he is now. Huh? Unless he's that Henry Moffey guy impersonating everybody. Or that old drugger. Or a dirty doctor scam. And it's definitely not one of mine. I've never seen a psychiatrist for a sexual disorder, and I never wanted my brother. I almost screamed at him to stop lying. And I thought, well, maybe it's that other lady who used my insurance. It's just a scam. Bet the guy's not even a doctor, because a real doctor would know they'd end up in jail for it. I told Jen, my daughter-in-law, about that doctor from before not being one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. I said, you know what that doctor was for? And I told her that, and she went, and I said, I know. I've never seen a psychiatrist for a sexual disorder, never one of my brother. I said, Dave's crack-headed girlfriend, and their mentality is sick. I guess they don't even know what HIPAA means. She went, really? See, they don't know any laws. Where those people, even investigators said, those church people need to realize how stupid they look and how actual stupid they look. That they say they had somebody drugged and told to say stuff. Oh, we'll have someone verify. Verify what? You were part of drugging someone and telling them to say something? And you were part of that? And then there was no crime committed? Do you realize how dumb they look? Extremely. I was found innocent of everything in 18. They told people, the investigator, we all know this woman's innocent. We all know. What was that, October 2020? I was found innocent of everything. I'm going to go ahead and upload this.